That's what's
Thank
up.
you, Zach.
What an
Thank you,
amazing
Zach.
conversation that
Hey,
you had
doctor.
there, Zach. Definitely
Bye.
thoroughly
Doing?
enjoyable conversation.
Hey,
Great seeing
Dr.
Alexandria. And
Bye.
Alexandria, before you disappear, we're talking about fearless women and things of that nature. Where we've got two fearless women that are joining us right now, because we've got Kimberly joining us, and we've also got Dr. Anthony. So definitely following in that footsteps, and of course Alexandria, of those fearless women that are out there. I actually come from a family of fearless women. My mom started a radio station and did that many years ago. And then my grandmother started a library in Raleigh, North Carolina, where there was
Wow.
no African American library. So definitely, I know about fearless women, and definitely, like Zach, a big time supporter of fearless women. So just wanted to thank you for joining that great tradition, because you are part of that great tradition.
I want to do a
Thank you.
timeout here and mention the music marathon that we're going to be hosting in September to raise money for musical artists who have been struggling during this time frame. And what we're trying to do is get together all the people who've been on all of our shows, and we're going to run it, 24 for 2 days, a long weekend, starting Friday night and ending whenever Sunday, because we are worldwide. So, Alexandra, I hope that you'll be interested in joining us.
I'm always there. You know me.
I know. So I just had to get that in before everybody kind of got going on something, because I know we'll might forget about it, and we need to start having meetings about it so that we get it going, because we want to host it in September.
Awesome.
And well, because
And
we've had
I would like Zach to introduce Dr. Anthony, and then Dr. Anthony can introduce herself again, and then we'll have a conversation based on that.
Yeah.
Over to you.
Yes. Oh, hello, the amazing Dr. Anthony. Thank you for joining us. It was quite a surprise to me, and I'm so happy you made my Sunday morning, besides all these great people here, because I looked at my phone this morning and I saw Dr. Anthony at 1 o'clock, and I was like, yes, I'm glad to have you back here on our roundtable at IBM.TV. It's beautiful. Love to have you. Are you in New Orleans or are you in DC now?
I'm actually in Texas.
In Texas, okay.
Yeah, I truck over to get it serviced, but I'll be going back to Louisiana today.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yeah. It's great to have you, and is your family safe and everybody okay? And
they're good. They're well. Yeah.
Okay. You're welcome. Thank you for joining us today. It's beautiful.
And Dr. Anthony, can you share about yourself to our viewers around the world? Where are you from and what do you do?
Okay. Well, I'm Dr. Anthony. I have a PhD in educational leadership. I work in education and I also work in mental health simultaneously. So that's pretty much what I do on an everyday basis. I also consult and I work with educators from across the country. Hopefully I can go international with that as well. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Dr. Anthony, if I could just leap in there really quickly. I know that with what's going on in the world and everything, a lot of folks are thinking about mental health and how COVID is impacting us, how Black Lives Matter is impacting us, how a lot of other things are impacting us from a mental health standpoint. Could you talk about that, please? Because I think that it is a very important issue and it's a global issue. So I would love to hear your insight as to what's going on in that realm and what we can do.
Yeah, for the most part with mental health, communication is always key. And I tell people this all the time. You have to talk to people. Even myself, I talk to people, my friends all the time, and especially with parents and children. They have to communicate with their children. Children are very flexible, so they can adjust. But with that adjustment, people need to talk and have those conversations and explain. So even for example, with my 5-year-old nephew, we explained to him what COVID-19 is. So he knows if we go out, he has to wear a mask. He knows that we can't touch people. He knows that, we have to use hand sanitizer. We have to, spray everything down. So having those conversations in kid-friendly language, especially for children, is very key. And also talking to your child because they're being taken out of the norm. So having that conversation and trying to keep some type of normalcy, not physically going to have, conversations with friends, but, like Zoom, like we here in the round table, but having those conversations with them online so they can see, each other and communicate with each other. But they just got to talk to their children and, and explain. And that's basically the key.
Well, Dr. Anthony,
Yes.
Lynn, our sponsor, has been really questioning my mental health recently. Has there been someone that you've met that it's just you can't help them? The mental health issues are just.
I don't feel like I can't help someone. I feel like I have an infectious personality, and when I talk to people, they naturally gravitate to me. So I actually have a caseload of 25 people that I see, and so. My people, I try to go over and above and beyond to, assist them. So I'm very flexible when it comes to my caseload. And I think, therapists has to be that way since we're in a pandemic. So if they text me or if they call me, I make sure that, I answer the phone or I respond to a text message, even if it's, outside of my normal hours that I would normally see them. Just having that flexibility and giving them that reassurance, just makes them, feel, like they're a part of and they're included, because I don't want them to ever feel like, I've thrown them to the wayside, or, they're not important and they're not, included in, the here and now. So even with the clients, I talk to them about, like safety. I talk to them about their daily mental health. Just basically go over their, schedule and try to keep some normalcy to them, throughout this whole situation. We talk about the mask and, they'll tell me, well, Dr. Anthony, I need a mask. I was like, okay, well, I'll go get you some. And, if I can't bring it, I'll mail it to you or whatever. So I try to, keep them within their comfort zone.
Yeah.
In their comfort zone. Yes.
So Dr. Anthony, I think that's wonderful. But I have a $20 bill here that says that you cannot help Jim Eade because I think he's beyond help. So, anyway,
your biggest challenge.
I think that you probably can help most anybody in the world.
So do I, yeah.
There are some people that are beyond help.
You think there's some people that are beyond help?
There might be some people beyond help.
I don't know. He just has to, he has to meet me and, just start, getting entangled, with me. And I think, my infectiousness will rub off on him and, we can change there.
Well, how would we get in touch with you?
You can get in touch with me on Twitter at Taiwanna Deshawn. Is at Twitter, Taiwanna Deshawn, and Instagram is at Taiwanna Deshawn, and my email is also taiwanna.anthony@gmail.com. And I'm also listed on Facebook at Dr. Taiwanna Deshawn Anthony on my public profile page. My personal page is already at capacity, so I can't accept any more friend requests.
And she's on my page as well. You can find her. Again, here we are chilling at the round table with all of our funky guests here. Dr. Anthony and Kim's in the house. And Kid, Lynn, Mark. We just chilling. So, Doc, I have a question for you.
Yes.
When do you, and I know this is a hard question, but do you see any kind of end coming to where we can at least get some socialization back with the mask across the country, or are we just going to catch can with every state? Because that's what's killing me right now. I don't see a plan. I don't see how we can get through this. It's so fragmented. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it is fragmented, but as in the immediacy, I don't see that happening. For the simple reason is everything is being rushed to reopen. We never really got an opportunity to, put it to rest the first time. So I still think COVID is still in its infancy and it still hasn't, broadened out to the point where it needs to be. And I think in the fall, we're going to see more of that, especially with the schools are being open and the children are being pushed back into the school system. I just think, for me personally, I just think everything needs to just go on a whole hiatus of, shutting down, no movement, no this, no that. And so we can try to get some type of, control over it. Because right now it's in free fall for me. There's no control. Me too. The thing about it is people, we're having, all these new cases every day. And then, we have people who are being reinfected. So if we're having the new cases and people being reinfected, there's no way that we can control it. So we have to shut everything down and we have to go back into the hiatus of where we were, on lockdown. But, with the president pushing, opening schools, opening businesses, and things like that or whatever. He's pushing that narrative, and that's not the narrative that needs to be written at this point. We need to completely shut down. I mean, because I'm an educator myself, and I'm not going back into the school.
I don't blame you. Yeah.
Because I mean, I know firsthand that parents send their children to school sick. Children, and I'm in the elementary section, children, they touch, they don't want to stay away from each other. Hey, let's switch masks. You take my mask, I take yours, and it's no way that you can social distance. I mean, and if you look at the statistics within the public sector, because I'm in the public ed, our classrooms are over capacity. We're not a 1 to 22 or 22 to 1, ratio. We're severely over capacity, and there's no way to social distance with the little children. And the curriculum in elementary is based off of group work and group participation, and the children working together. So my thing is, what does that look like if we go back into the school? How can you guarantee that the children are going to come in safe? How can you guarantee that we're not going to get sick? How can you guarantee that the people that the other educators and the other people that are affiliated with the schools are not sick? And there's no certainty, there's no guarantee there. And I was just having this conversation with a couple of friends the other day, and I was telling them that when I initially went to this school, I transferred to this school, I taught 3rd grade. And so as I was in the classroom, I was sick every day, and I was reporting to my principal. I was like, something is wrong with this building, and I'm getting sick. And every day I would leave, I would break out in hives. My lips would swell, my eyes would swell, my throat would swell. And I'm telling her, I was like, something is wrong with this building. So come to find out, they had me in a room with mold for 6 months.
Wow.
So that time I've been breaking out in hives, and I've had, other ailments or whatever, based off of me being in that particular room for 6 months. So my thing is, you can protect me from mold. How can you protect me from COVID? You know what I'm saying? There's no way that they can seriously protect their teachers and stuff. So me personally, I'm not going back into the classroom, even if they say, we have to go back. I'm not going back.
I know we decided to keep our kids home. Go ahead, Kim. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I want to hear this.
I was just saying, we decided here in Durham, they decided it's not going to happen until January. So I was just going to say, we're the online thing is in place here. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kim.
No, and the online is pretty interesting. I've got a young girl that I've known since she was a little girl. I used to work in the school systems a lot. I volunteered a lot and did some teaching myself on some certain subjects until my children were grown. You're right. You cannot stop that curiosity and trading off. And I was watching a thread that online school had just started, right? And this one girl that I knew growing up, she's a teacher now. And she goes, oh my gosh. She goes, this is so hilarious. And so her thread of her kids, you want to hear my dog barking? My sister's touching me. And I'm reading this thread because kids are just going to be kids, whether they're still at home. And I'm watching, I have to pee now.
I saw you laugh, and I knew you were laughing about something like that when she said trading the mask, because that's what kids would do. Hey, you got a Star Wars mask. Give me that. Here's my Spider-Man mask. Like,
but that's children. And
Batman mask in front of me.
That's the invincibility of being a child, right? And that's the curiosity, and that's part of the bonding that needs to exist eventually. But we're not going to have that right now. And some of the things that I really look at, as an engineer, data has always been very important to me, and I work in the different sectors of law enforcement, education, and health. And I'm looking at what are other countries doing to make this successful. Iceland, is a very small country, but we can isolate our areas into small communities, but the very few deaths, they've never shut down. They all still go to work. Their restaurants are still open. Their kids are still in school. They smartened up, and they use the test only on the people who are not sick, so that they can isolate the hot zones. So if you're sick, you go over here. When you're well, you come back here. Death rate 1, and all this time, maybe 10 now. But Hong Kong is the same. And then I look at Japan. They had a little spike there, and I agree with you. We haven't seen We haven't seen the iceberg yet.
No, we haven't.
We are just at the very beginning of what is going to explode, and we need to be prepared for it. And one of the things that has concerned me the most is we have yet to hire our pandemic team.
Yeah.
Japan has theirs. Hong Kong has theirs. Iceland has theirs. All these countries Malaysia has a policy in place. So pretty much they have. So all of these places that are functioning and doing things with very low fatality rates, they have a pandemic team in place, and we need to do this. And the flag needs to be raised. Why haven't we done this yet? And but
because Obama did it.
Well, I mean, initially we did have a pandemic team under President Obama, but it was disbanded by this current president. Yeah, and so I think basically he doesn't want to. Yeah, I think he doesn't want to have anything to do with President Obama. I just honestly believe that's because he's black, and he's racist or whatever. So anything that President Obama says, he's going to do the opposite. But you're absolutely correct. We should have the pandemic team. We should have experts talking. We shouldn't have, experts that are, talking with Trump. And what I mean is, in agreement with what he says. He's not a scientist. He doesn't have the degree. He doesn't have the mental capacity to even, spew out numbers in terms of, data and statistics. And, he has led. Yeah, and he has led this country into, into the bottom of the pit, into a pit hole based off of his incompetence and his not knowing and not listening. And, he's always said, I can do it alone. And I mean, in any situation, we already know that nothing can be fixed alone. But the sad part about it is he doesn't listen to the experts. He doesn't trust the science. And I heard Meghan McCain say, she doesn't trust Dr. Fauci. How in the hell are you not going to trust Dr. Fauci? Dr. Fauci is the number one leading expert when it comes to diseases and things like that. So how are you not going to trust Dr. Fauci? And the people to the far right are like, it's a hoax. How is it a hoax? This is what this president said. This is what this administration is saying, that it's a hoax, but people are still dying, and they're pushing this narrative of we got it under control. We got everything, isolated, when it's, actually the opposite. And they're really not doing anything to, support the American people. Basically, when he first came out, he was like, it's basically the states competing against the states. And I'm like, where do they do that at? What's the whole point of us having a federal government and,
exactly.
Federal agencies if, the states cannot, utilize those powers that be? But he made it like it was a competition. And then, Governor Hogan in Maryland, he made a pact with South Korea. I want to say, was it South Korea? One of them. And where his wife, got PPE equipment for the state of Maryland, and he got upset about that. But what you left people with no choice. You gave them, the hand, and you were like, this is what it is. So this is where you need to be. So I mean, I just think that this administration has failed drastically with the American people, and especially when it came to handling the pandemic, it wasn't handled. We're basically on our own. And so people who are actually wearing the mask and doing what the scientists are saying, we're being safe, but the other people who are not wearing the mask and think it's a hoax and things like that, they're the ones that's actually spreading it. I was reading an article the other day that a child in Georgia went to school, was infected with COVID-19 based off a family member, and the child was asymptomatic, and everybody in that particular, classroom has to be, quarantined and, set aside from, everybody else. So my thing is is this going to be the norm? You're going to allow children to come to school, and then, all the other people, are at risk and, getting infected. So, everything has a trickle down effect, so if he would have done what he was supposed to do from the jump, we wouldn't be in this situation, and we wouldn't have lost almost 200,000 people.
Agreed.
I agree. And, I want to ask you a question since we're on this subject. Are you familiar with the recent speech that he just gave yesterday and the bill that he just signed off that he's going to, defer the taxes? And, of course, we're going to get another $200, which I'm totally against all of this stuff that he's doing, because if we do things right, we don't need this.
Right.
But I have to ask myself, and I've been asking economic experts over and over, where's the first $4 trillion? That's a stimulus. It's supposed to stimulate. and cycle, but it's landed somewhere. There's no more 4 trillion. And now we're printing another 2 trillion. We're going to put it out. And I feel like there's some money laundering going on here.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
It's ending up in somebody's pocket. It's not mine.
Yeah.
It's not yours. And
No,
we're
no, it went to
slaves to them.
most of
We are becoming their
his,
slaves.
yeah, it went to most of his friends, even with the small business loans. All of the companies that are affiliated with somebody in, the Republican Party, most of those people got the money. So that's where the money is going. And I mean, like I said, it's no transparency there. So we don't know what's what and who's getting what. We only know what they're saying, and we already know that we can't trust this president or his administration because there's no truth to what they're saying. They lied about the simplest things. So what makes you think that we're going to be able to trust you when it comes to like trillions and trillions of dollars? We can't. And as far as him signing those bills, and he wants to take away the payroll tax, and people fail to realize is the payroll tax supports Social Security, and so he clearly wants to and defund Social Security. But my thing is, this is a pay into system. American people pay into this system. So how are you trying to disband and steal that money? And because that's basically what it is to me. They're trying to steal the money and basically use it for probably like military and that wall that he's trying to build and things like that, because a lot of those Republicans, for example, have stake in the military companies like Halliburton. What's his name? Dick Cheney. That's his company. So Halliburton got all those money, all that money to go over to Iraq, Iran, and rebuild and do construction and things like that. So it's about following the trail. So I always tell people, if you want to know about it, follow the money. You know what I'm saying?
Anthony, I gotta tell you, I hate to interrupt you because you're on a roll, and I'm agreeing with everything that you're saying. But IBM TV, we try to be apolitical, but it's also smart TV. So I got to tell you, everything you're saying is.
I'm sorry.
It's smart.
No, it's good.
Smart. So it's good. It's good.
I love it.
We want to just tamper down a little bit.
So here's the thing: we allow people to speak their opinion and minds, especially from education, but also it's about our own communities and how they're impacted. And I have to agree with you. This cutting the federal tax has concerned me greatly. It's one thing if you cut the workers' compensation, we don't really need it, and then make them buy more medical insurance for people. I'm all for that. It's another thing to cut the state payroll tax. We don't need it in most states. A lot of states don't have that. So I agree with you. There's something fishy going on there. But for him to get up there and say, and if I become president again, I might just cut that all together. And I'm like, and who's going to pay for the police? Who's going to pay for
right?
Are we not going to need it?
He doesn't.
Scared me. Are we not going to need it?
Yeah, he just used out information and things like that or whatever. I think it was it Johnson that instituted the Johnson? I think it was Johnson, the president.
The tax came from Lincoln.
It was Lincoln. Okay, yeah, so that they could have retirement. Because everybody doesn't have a pension. Everybody doesn't have a job that pays into a 403B or a 401k. So you mean to tell me that you would rather cut this tax and just leave people stranded or whatever and not have any type of means and any type of like money? Because what he fails to realize is, you think the crime rate is great now. Wait until these people have no money. You know what I'm saying? So when they have no money, it's just like a rabid dog. You put a dog in a cage and don't feed that dog, what's going to happen? You know what I'm saying? So when you take away their means and you take away the little money that they do have, what do you think is going to happen? You know what I'm saying? So I don't think the thought processes are there. If I do this, then I don't get the consequences of what's going to happen later. In life, if I take this away, we need to start having conversations, and not just Democrats, Republicans as well. We need to have courageous conversations as to how we can better the country, how we can make the American people more sustainable, how we can get more money into the American people pockets. Because if you look at, let's take Chicago for example. Chicago has a lot of crime. So what's the problem with Chicago? There's no jobs. There was white flight. You know what I'm saying? So when white people left and went to the suburbs, they called it, white flight, and that then the ghettos were formed where Black people didn't have sustainable money. The stores left, all of this other stuff left, the business left, the economics went down and things like that. So what do you think is going to happen? People are going to still kill and rob to make sure that they survive and they get food. So if you take this away, then that's what's going to happen in the long run. So you're not doing the American people any justice. You're basically putting us in harm's way, the people who actually have jobs and things like that. So then they're going to start coming after us, and then they're going to attack us, and then go to the stores, and it's just going to be a trickle-down effect. So,
I can say one thing, getting back, think about like this, and we're all old enough to know this on this panel. I've seen a lot of this ahead of time because right in the, say, 20 years ago mark or 25 years ago mark, right around that time in our history, right? Let's just say pre 9/11. We had an opportunity in this country to really set up older people that didn't have a college education with technical jobs. And we didn't do it. And that's what happened, because at that point, and I was working in healthcare and doing music. But what happened is, and I'm agreeing with everything you guys are saying, I just wanted to jump in. What happened is when that started to happen, there were no more, everything became automated, tire factories, car companies. When that automation started, we here, all of our Democrats, Republicans, and independents, and people that just don't do nothing, all of us should have said, listen, we can see this now. So let's start training people to do these technical jobs, sit behind a computer and run the automation. And this way they will be able to sustain themselves when they get 30, 40, 50. A lot of people my age, what happened is when technology came, they lost their job. They couldn't rebound because they didn't have the skills. And I think in this country, we have to critically always think the future. We have to teach, okay, going forward, now that we made our mistakes, we have to teach young people, listen, go take a trade and still go to college. When I was in New York, the #1 school was the New York Technical School. They taught plumbing, carpeting, auto mechanics, cooking, everything that you could go out and apply a trade to. And we lost, and it was specially done, and it wasn't done for poor people, wasn't done for Black or white people. It was done because it was already in the system. And they had foresight. They knew a plumber's going to make $70,000 a year. So if you don't want to go to college and it's not for everybody, then you got a skill. I know how to fix and repair my car because I learned it in auto shop. I have a skill, a fallback skill. And in this country, we did not. Those 20 years when technology hit, we were loving it. But the people in Pennsylvania, the people in Wisconsin, the people in Detroit, they were like, I can't run this automated machine because you didn't teach me. And that bothers me to this day. That was the trickle that started the wave. Because
well, Zach, we had a candidate saying exactly what you're saying. His name was Andrew Yang, and he got no traction with that message. Nobody voted for him.
Nobody voted for him. We had a lot of good people. I don't like the primaries the way they're done. I think we just need to vote in one day instead of, because by the time we get to North Carolina, there's nobody good left, which tells me the rest of the country votes stupid. But I know I'm horrible, but so let's think about this though. A lot of our jobs got outsourced. Okay. So a lot of my loved ones, a lot of people that I went to college with back in the 80s, we actually graduated in the early 80s. We had these great and wonderful flourishing jobs and they were outsourced. So we had no money. And like you said, the white flight in Chicago, but don't forget about this one either. Oprah left Chicago. And when Oprah left, because I work in media, and one of the conversations I have in media now is when Oprah left Chicago, Chicago died.
The night Chicago died. Yeah.
Literally died. The economy went down, even though they have a lot of great conferences. To me, Chicago has the most beautiful zoo, literally. And it's a free zoo to the public. It's the best well-kept zoo I've ever been to. They've got beautiful museums and artifacts and parks, but they've lost their economy because they didn't try to keep the people in and giving them trades and giving them education, because literacy is what's going to close that gap. And that's what Nick and I have been all about, is closing that gap between poverty and sustainability.
So let me go back to, I'm sorry.
See, that's
Let
literacy.
me go back to what Zach was saying. So you're absolutely correct, but you got to understand it didn't just start with the public sector. It started in the school system. So that back in the 80s, I was a child. So I'm just speaking from here and now. So what happened in the school system is they took away all of the trades and all of the technical things and all of the things that they used to teach us. Because I remember taking wood shop in school. I remember taking home economics, and so they taught you basic life skills. So the narrative was that we need to push education. We need to push college, 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 college. So they started pushing college, college, college. And so now we're on a short end of, technical laborers. We don't have the people to, like fill those jobs in terms of, like the plumbers and, things like that or whatever. Because the narrative was you need to go to college, you need to do this, you need to do that in order to, achieve the American dream. And they didn't push, the technical side of it. And we already know that, everybody is not college bound. Everybody is not, they don't want to go to college. So I look at it, what is the 80-10-10 rule, where, 80% of the people are going to do one thing, 10% are going to do this. And then you have the 10% that are, you're elitist and, things like that or whatever. But, you're absolutely correct. But, also with the, when it came to the training, a lot of the training was offered. People didn't take the training. Even with President Obama, he had the, what is it called? My Brother's Keeper. For Black men, and then they also had one for like Black females, and a lot of people did not sign up for those trainings. So I have this argument all the time because they're like, President Obama didn't do anything for Black people, and I was like, that's not true. President Obama implemented a lot of programs where people did not sign up for those programs, and I'm like, what did you want him to do? Go sign you up for the program, complete the training, and you get the credit for it? No, it doesn't work that way. And even with me in the education field, I know that, by me being an educator and also working in mental health, I know that every 5 years I have to have at least 6 credit hours in order to maintain my certification. So if I don't get those 6 credit hours, it's nobody's fault but to blame. It's myself. So, people, and I guess, when it came to, like the technical jobs and, the training and stuff, I guess they didn't believe what was going to take place, but the writing has always been on the wall when it came to like technology. Because even when President Trump, he said that he was going to bring coal mining jobs back, and he had all those coal miners to support him and things like that. But those jobs are basically gone, and we're not going to bring those jobs back. But at the same time, I think people need to start realizing, hey, I need to do X, Y, and Z to make sure I'm properly trained in order to, like move to the next step. So I have like multiple certifications, I have multiple degrees, so I can work in the private sector, I can work in the public sector, I can work in a school, I can work for a private firm, I can work wherever, so I made sure that I had enough, certifications and, degrees. So if I'm not good at this job, then I can switch to something else. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, like I said, people have to they got to step up, and they have to take responsibility for themselves, because the writing has always been on the wall, not with the outsourcing, but in terms of like the technical jobs and, moving forward with the computer and automated things. It has always been on the wall because when I was a child growing up, they tried to push girls into STEM. This is the way that you need to go. This is what you need to do. And this is what you need to be successful. Even though I do have a STEM degree, my master's is in technology or whatever, but I just don't work in it. But that's the way that they pushed us or whatever. And so, some of us listened, some of us didn't. And I think that goes back to, like the older generation. I mean, because I see it in my mom's household when I try to, tell her, hey, you need to learn how to do this. You need to learn how to do it. Oh, I don't need to learn how to do that. I'm good. I'm okay. And so, you get a lot of pushback when you try to, tell someone who's older than you, you need to do this and you need to do that. And they're not really, wanting to comply. And, especially, like with the technical skills, because I try to, and I hate working with adults because they don't listen. I'm serious. So when I teach computer, technology skills and, trying to just teach the basics and things like that, they don't listen. They don't pay attention. And I literally walk by and I pop their hands and I'm like, no, that's not how you do that. You know what I'm saying? And they're looking at me crazy, like, what are you talking about? So it's hard to, get adults to change their mindset and to change their norm. into, doing something else. So I think, they're to blame as well.
I was going to say, we have 7 people, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 people on the panel. Obviously, the 2 smartest are the 2 women. All right, both of you got degrees, plaques on the wall, awards. You got, between the 2 of you got like 30 degrees. So I just wanted to put that out there. Thank you, ladies. You dominate, you rule. I bow to you.
I got a bone to pick with Zach. Where you been hiding?
Jim, I have to jump in there, and I have to agree with you. These women rule, Kimberly and Dr. Anthony. But the one thing I was going to say is I have a friend of mine who is actually a professor. She's a professor on the college level in both the physical building as well as online learning. And she talks about that because she actually was expecting what we're in the middle of now. So she was already doing online education. She was already using a lot of these kind of platforms. And she is shocked at how many folks were not preparing for it, already knowing that it was getting ready to come down the pipe. Because like I said, she's already got those skill sets. She's in Nevada, in Las Vegas area. So she's already got those skill sets and is working in the field. But she oftentimes talks to me when we're having conversations about how I don't know why X, Y, and Z person did not know to already start that training, knowing that it was coming down the pike in this way. So she was just always telling me that she's shocked at that. And I was wondering if you were having those same kind of experiences, Dr. Anthony. And the other thing that I was going to ask as a question was, I love this platform we're on. We're using StreamYard, and of course there's other ones, Zoom and other things of that nature. But I do wonder, from a psychological standpoint, are you seeing people that are getting zoomed out and are getting kind of like having these impacts with these kind of tools that we're using, where it might have a psychological impact on them?
I was zoomed out. I was zoomed out because my principal, she's an older lady, and so she wasn't really, grasping how to use Zoom and all the technical features. So instead of me, like sitting here, doing this face to face, I would always post a picture and I would be doing something else in the background, because it was like, if you don't get me in the first like 2 to 3 minutes, then you've lost me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, okay, well, I'm done. This is going to be, repetitive, me dang, so I was just like, I'm totally over Zoom right now. So that was, with that, because she wasn't, technically sound or whatever. But for the most part, I have like, in my clients, I have one that is totally against using technology, and he's like about 28 years old. He's like very old school. He doesn't want to do Zoom. He would prefer to text me and, talk on the phone. So, like I said, I try to be flexible with the client. So if that's the way he wants to communicate, that's the way he communicates. But as far as the children are concerned, the children are very flexible, and they actually like the Zoom because you can, see each other and you have conversations. And I didn't have a problem with that. But the 5th graders that I had this past school year, I had already started integrating technology with them. So they were already acclimated to working on the computer 50% of the time. And then, we work in the classroom 50% of the time. But the new students that I have to retrain them, how to utilize the technology and how to utilize the things that, I want them to do. But I think that's going to be, a little difficult because I'm not there personally to, like really oversee it. So trying to do it online with the new ones is going to be extremely difficult, especially with the ones who have, like learning disabilities, and, the ones that have to take, extra time to, get things done. So that's where I foresee my challenge at with the students. But as far as the adults, I think they're adjusting okay. Now, the older adults, I think they're having more problems and frustration than, the middle age. Because like I said, my mom, she just refuses to, try to learn technology. I tried to teach her how to text. She won't text. We use this app called Viber to.
Can I step in a second?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm 76. I have a lot of old friends. My friends, and not only my friends, but people. I Zoom a lot. I Zoom a lot with people who are in their 60s and 70s and 80s. And I would say a broad-based categorization of older people not being willing to learn technology is not a good thing to say, because I know tons of people who are my age or older or younger who have learned technology and use it every single day. So maybe your mother doesn't want to use it. But I'm going to tell you that I know a lot of people who do. So please don't make the
and there are a lot of people
characterization
that
that
use technology,
older
but at the
people.
same time, there's a lot of older people that I know that don't use technology.
There are some. There are some.
You know, you're entitled to your opinion, and I'm entitled to mine, and so that's based off of my perspective. That's just only my perspective, and it's not meant to be derogatory or disrespectful. It's just based off of what I see in my community, that they don't want to utilize technology. In your community, it's awesome if they are, but the people that I deal with, the older generation that I deal with, they do not want to utilize technology. And it's just not in my family. It's across the board, because I work with a lot of people and I deal with a lot of people. So I'm speaking from my experiences and my folks that, you know, I have a direct contact with.
I can say,
let me just jump in the
It's
middle
just
of
a
that.
blanket statement. It's not saying that everybody does it. That's just like saying all Black people are thieves.
Yeah, I worked in healthcare for like 20 years in nursing homes and stuff like that. And I remember, again, technology was just starting. And every time they brought in, and I worked for the Carmelite nuns for 20 years, every time they brought in a new system, when they were switching over from paper to computerized medical records, and computerized medical records had to be brought in by this other company. So there were a lot of people, older people, younger people, we all had to embrace that technology. And I agree with both of you, because you're both making the same point. Some people just didn't have it in them, whether they were older or younger, to embrace it because of the change. And then some people that were my age, and at that time I was in my mid-30s, we jumped right on it. And what helped me was because when music went digital, I had to understand technology in order to do my job, record this and that, whatever. But both of you make the same point, because there were a lot of people that were resistant. I had to train. After they trained me, I had to train my staff of 13, right? After that, there were some people that I had to give extra training to, just to get them to embrace the fear. I don't think it's because they can't. People are scared when they have to embrace change at a certain age. I know I'm 62. I'm scared to change. And like I said, I agree with both of you, because then there were people that were like, great, I got a new toy. But these were already people that had a tech background. So for them, the doctors, the nurses, the older doctors, a lot of people, they were able to do it right away because they were already on a computer at home. So I was just going to say, I agree with both of you. It's 50-50.
So Zach, let me also point out that here in Pennsylvania, we have a number of technical schools that are for high school age kids to go to. So they have the choice of going to a technical school and learning all the stuff you were talking about that supposedly was eliminated in the 90s, and it hasn't been here in Pennsylvania. Okay?
I know in New York they did, but I'm glad Pennsylvania is still doing it.
Maybe some states they haven't, but so what I'd like to suggest is that let's not do broad brush suggestions. Statements. Yes, it may be true, Dr. Anthony, that your experience is such and it's different than my experience, and I can accept that. I've also seen young people who don't want anything to do with technology for whatever it's worth. Probably not as many as older people. Yeah, but
just jump in here. They see the different houses will actually on social media. I mean, my mom is definitely very much computer engaged. She has her own computer, a desktop, and all of that stuff, and is very much computer engaged. First when she was working, and now that she's retired, in terms of communications and things of that nature. I've got multiple Facebook accounts. My mom has none, but she will check on Facebook and on other things because she knows that her sister has a Facebook account. So she will actually check using other people's accounts. She has a late sister who, one sister that's still living, that she checks using her account to see what me and my younger brother are up to and her nephews are up to. She has another sister that has passed, but that account is still up. So she will use that account because she had the password when she was taking care of my Aunt Carolyn in order to access and to keep kind of track of what folks are doing. So sometimes we think that some of the old folks might not be using social media, but they might be using it in a roundabout kind of way.
Well, I mean, for example, when I worked in Dallas and we trained older teachers, because if you look at the statistics and the data, you notice that that the teachers are over 50 years old. The majority of teachers are over 50 years old. So when I trained those people, we had one lady who actually died at the computer from being so overwhelmed and about change and about using technology. So I see this every day.
Yeah.
So the older generation within the school system, they don't want to embrace change. They don't want to use the technology, and it's hard to get them to see the benefit of it when they're pushing back and giving you constant negativity. Because even with at the school system where I am and the building where I am, we have a lot of older teachers. And it was a struggle for them to even, do the Zoom lessons, to do any of the, the new technology and things like that. But they don't want to change, and so
fear of change doesn't rely on age. Fear of change is human nature.
Well, that's what I mean. Fear,
older,
right? Fear, yeah.
Older because they're older than me. So I'm saying older, So, I don't want to say,
But Dr. Anthony, I just don't understand. How did we get off of my mental health?
Well, your mental health isn't that important, but speaking of fear, Dr. Anthony, speaking of fear,
it was a major, that was a major change for them, and it was hard for them to grasp the concept of using that particular technology. And I'm not saying that they don't use social media. Social media is not teaching. It's a whole different ball game where you have to use technology to teach, and it's in a different capacity. And these people were actually stroking out, having panic attacks and things like that or whatever, because they did not want to embrace the change. So that's where I'm speaking from, not saying that all older people are like that, but like I said, I try to get my mom and direct people to do it, and it's pushed back. And then in the school it's pushed back because a lot of the older teachers wanted to go back to school, but people who were younger than myself, we were like, oh no, we're good with the online, we're good with the technology, because that's basically what we do on a everyday basis.
Speaking of fear, and I've got to change the topic just slightly and everything. I want to know, Kim, did you have any impact with the earthquake? Because I was telling Ankit, we were having a phone conversation, that I know that there was an earthquake here in North Carolina that registered 5.1. Yes, Jim, we get those every once in a while. So we had an earthquake, but it was more toward the southern end of our state. But Kim, you're in Raleigh, and I understand that it might have impacted it in Raleigh a little bit. So it would have been when you were waking up. Did you feel anything?
Wynn said that a lot of you don't know who Wynn is. He's one of our team. He said he felt a little wheezy. 5.1 it's about a 3-hour drive from here to Mount Airy and Spartan, where all of that happened. And by the way, Mount Airy is the Andy Griffin area. They have a real Andy Griffin town there. Actually, the last living actress is still living there. But yeah, we didn't feel much, but we're getting the trickle effect. What about you, Mark? What about
I didn't feel anything, and I'm Zach and Mia right here, so
when was it?
Really feeling it was this morning at 8 o'clock.
I was asleep. I went to bed at 5 a.m. So if it came, I would have been smoked. I was recording all night. So if it came, I would have been you would have had to come dig me out, because at 8 o'clock, I'm sure I was in the zone. So
we'll remember that, Zach. If we don't see you the next morning, we'll remember
dig you out.
I'll come dig you out. I tell you, they keep talking about this is the worst we've had since 1916, but that's not true. We had a couple about 10 years ago.
I remember those.
That I remember rocking the parking deck. Right. I don't know if you remember that, but I think it actually cracked the parking deck at the mall. Oh, wow. So we
was that in North Carolina? Was
yes.
that in North? Because there was one in Virginia, south of Washington D.C.
Today?
And no, this is maybe 8-10 years ago, and I remember sitting in my office here in the Philadelphia area, and I actually felt it, and I thought to myself, that was very strange. I had no idea what it was, but things shook, and
I was in New York and we felt it. I was in my apartment and for 8 seconds, I was like, oh no. It was weird.
Talk about earthquakes, please.
No, because the building was leaning, because I've never, that was my first time ever experiencing an earthquake. So we were in there with the children, and so the building was leaning and, you know, rocking back and forth. And they was like, "What are we supposed to do?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I don't know what to do because I've never been in an earthquake before." So I started calling people. I'm like, "What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do?" They was like, "Get the children out. Go outside. Go outside." So I'm like, "Okay, well, let's just go outside." So we just rushed outside or whatever, and we stood away from the building and things like that or whatever. But that was my first time ever experiencing a you know, an earthquake. So I was like, yeah.
Don't worry, Jim. You're good. You're good, Jim. Don't worry. We got you.
My
brought that up.
San Diego.
Close to Himalayas, basically, and Nepal got a drastic effect, and there was a big holes in Nepal, and that is close to India. And we felt tremors for like maybe 30-35 earthquakes happened. In the period of 1 month, and that was amazing because no one knows that 30-35 earthquakes happened within 1 month. And that is close to Himalayas, which is a big mountain range, and everyone was scared. And if you check out the pictures, the roads are nowhere. All the roads are dumped, and there was a big hole and all those things, and everyone was suffering. No one knows what happened, but life have to start back, and things have to fall in place. But I'll tell you something: if you check out the earthquake happened in Japan, they have an amazing pandemic team about earthquake. They know how to clear the earthquakes and how to manage it out. They are suffering like hell. The same thing happened in Hawaii as well. But I think Japan knows how to maintain and how to survive the earthquake. And we have to learn a lot of.
You know, I've worked with the Japanese for a long time, and I had to work in California. My first experience, I was in the very top of a very, I forget how many floors, and the buildings sway. But they designed the buildings to sway.
Right.
In earthquake. And we designed telecom equipment to be earthquake. So earthquake proof, as we call it. So the ability to be flexible was built into these mainframes, so that when they were in California, we also had emergency trucks that were complete telephone switches. So when an earthquake would hit California, we would move these trucks in to replace the network switches. We were able to use those trucks, get this, from when 9/11 happened. Yeah. And we were able to haul in the trucks and make sure connectivity happened. So it was, you know, wow, what a miracle that we already had these trucks for California, and they were ready to all we had to do was just move them to
because the main central office down in the financial area, which I think controlled well over 100,000 phones, was totally destroyed. So
I've been in and out of that office many times, and the walls are designed to be bomb proof. Okay, and what I mean by bomb proof is there's several layers of regular block. So nothing should ever come through them. And I had some friends in there, and they were calling me. I was boarding a plane that morning to go meet some people there, and they were hiding under the desk in the network switch, and they were taking pictures, and it looked like bullets coming through the wall.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And I'm, by that point, I'm like, something bad has really happened, because these walls were designed to take any beating. And for something like that to just be piercing the walls, you know. And so fortunately, though, we had a network switch that we could pull in and make it happen. Actually, I was not really working for that part of the telecom industry anymore. I was kind of more of a consultant at the time. And but it was pretty phenomenal to watch how all of this kind of fell into place. But that's what being prepared is all about. And I think that's what Dr. Anthony is also bringing up to mind, is that when we teach our kids certain things about, you know, today we have to be prepared. We have to learn how to wear a mask. We have to teach them to be prepared, because what we're coming up against is greater than any war that any mankind can bring us. Okay, we are now at war with what the earth has to offer. And I think we have to learn to figure out how to live with it. And my vote is we all get stormtrooper suits and Darth Vader suits, and we can get back together again. You know, there was a reason for that. Science fiction has always come true. And I think they designed our clothes for us, because you could just hear Darth Vader. Right?
So here's the one issue that may happen if a big earthquake happens in California on the San Andreas Fault, the Socialist Republic of Northern California might actually become a separate country.
There you go.
See, Lynn, you got to explain that to Dr. Anthony because she doesn't know your joke about you and Jim. So you need to tell her why, so she doesn't have to.
Actually, Nick was the one that started it.
Yeah, Nick started it.
I just have picked up the ball.
You can't blame it on you. You can blame it on Nick.
Yeah. Well, hey, look. He's not here today.
As you were saying it in my mind, I'm like, wait a minute, hold up.
See, because I saw the look on your face. I saw it.
I'm thinking science. I'm like, wait a minute, the plate tectonics didn't shift, so I'm like, wait a minute, did it shift recently or something like that? I haven't read the article. So that's what I was thinking in my mind as you were saying it. So I'm thinking science.
Lynn has bought property in Nevada because he thinks it's going to be a
beachfront property. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I believe it. I'm investing.
Hey, look.
Look at the love I get, Dr. Anthony. You wonder why I'm a mess.
I told you there's no hope for you. No hope for you at all, Jim. We all know this. There's no hope for you at all whatsoever. But
I still have the $20 bill.
You got the $20?
So I'm going
to change the subject if no one else will. And so you were talking about the Dr. Anthony, about the COVID and the mental effect that it was having on people and how we sheltered in place, and then we opened up, and then we had to close down again. And, when we were first sheltering in place, I think people were pretty okay with it. It was a little upsetting, but when we opened up, we had this hope that everything's going to be okay. And then we had to shut down again. And now everybody's confused because we don't know if we're going to open up and shut down again. What's going to happen? So there's a lot of confusion and uncertainty and fear that's going around the country. And I think that's the mental health issue that everybody is living with right now.
Good point, Jim.
Words of encouragement for people like me who are just.
I think, to be honest with you, I think our seniors are the bomb.com because, they didn't really come from a area of, like where we're living now with all the technology, with all this. And to me, they're accustomed to, like the simple things in life, the staying home, the, visiting and talking on the phone and sitting on the front porch. But where it comes, with my generation and after, we're the ones that, got to be out there, got to be on the front, got to be on the social media, got to do this, got to do that. So I think that's where, a lot of people are having problems with their mental state is because they're not used to sitting down. They're not used to slowing down. And so sometimes I think, people just need to go out and smell the roses and just, take a step back and just enjoy life as, we once knew it, not, the hustle and bustle, because right now they're not getting the hustle and bustle and they're like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. I'm used to going to Starbucks. I'm used to doing this. I'm used to doing that. Free. You know what I'm saying? Get Starbucks order. We can learn a lot.
Age does that. We learn to breathe, right? We learn to say, okay, we've been through things.
And that's my thing. You can learn a lot from older people. And I love, talking to, like elderly people. Because when I used to live in Louisiana, I used to go to the nursing home and just sit and communicate with them and just talk and, just listen to their stories and just, learn things. And I think we have gotten away from that. And I think, that would help us, in this pandemic is to sit down and talk to your grandparents, sit down and talk to your mom, sit down and talk to your dad. Because a lot of people, they don't talk to their children. They don't have conversations with their children. It's like, we're eating dinner. Okay, it's time to go to bed, time to get up and go to school. So they don't have that happy time. And I think, people need to create that happy time and just, start enjoying. I mean, because even now I just sit and I lay down on my bed at my mom's house and I just sit and let her talk and, I just listen. And I think people need to, get back to that because, somewhere along the way we have lost it and we stopped valuing our older adults, and I think we need to bring that back into the forefront where we're loving on our grandparents, loving on our older aunties, loving on the older people in the community, and just stop and listen. And a lot of people have not done that. Exactly, they have not done that, and so that's the parents is coming from. You know what I'm saying? Because to be honest with you, I don't think they know how to live, and I think they just need to stop, focus, and learn how to live again.
That's right. Dr. Anthony, real quick, right? You got something coming up with IBM.TV, so we want to promote that, make sure people know you're going to be a regular, as well as a little tidbit for the kids, because we up against a hard count. But let us know what's happening with you and IBM TV, and when does that show start?
Well, we're still working out the logistics. Hopefully in September. So we will have guest forums. Huh? You said it again?
Can I be a guest? I want to be a guest.
Why wouldn't you be? I would love to have you.
He should be your first guest, so that you can show people. You can show people how you can solve problems of confusion. Because Jim is confused all the time.
He's confused all the time. I would love that.
I've gotten comfortable with it.
So welcome to the IBM TV family. Welcome. Thank you. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
I'm waiting.
Let me know when it's on.
And I have one more question. Did they have a lot of damage in North Carolina? Because at the end of the month, I have to drive back that way to get to DC. So I don't want to be driving over debris and all that stuff.
Where are you at right now? Are you in Georgia?
I'm in Louisiana. Well, right now I'm in Texas, but I'm going back to Louisiana today.
Yeah, so you would have to. Okay, I don't recall there being much damage.
I don't recall there being much damage at all. From what I understand,
the highways are good.
Damage. So you should be good for coming back.
Okay, good. Because I'm gonna be traveling by myself, and I don't want it to, start shifting and all that stuff.
Well, here, do us a favor. Why don't you beam in and do a report with us while you're driving back?
Okay.
And, maybe show us a little bit of the country while you're driving through. We could do an out and about with you. We've got an out and about show, and you can say, I'm stopping in. And that way we can, if you're driving by yourself, you're not by yourself anymore.
Okay, sounds good. I can do that.
Well, I can already see Jim is spooning on you, so he'll come and rescue you, I'm sure. Sorry, Jim.
I hope so.
I can see his face.
How long is the drive from Louisiana to DC? How long is the drive?
It's like about 17 hours.
17 hours?
So
that means
where are you at?
Natchitoches, Louisiana.
Okay, because I've driven from here to Dallas, Texas, and to Kerrville, Texas a few times. So you're looking at a good 24-hour, 20-hour, about 20 hours.
Yeah, I normally don't stop, so it normally takes me about 17, 18. I just stop for gas and maybe to grab something to eat, something light.
Yeah. And any parting words? Any parting words for the children out there that's listening to you? That was one of the comments.
Talk to your parents, communicate. Childhood. What's my word? I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. Attacks on children are, very prevalent right now with the children being at home. So, if something is happening to you, make sure you report it. Call 911. It's not okay for someone to mistreat you, touch you inappropriately, or put their hands on you. So make sure you stay safe. Make sure you communicate with your parents. If you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling like you just can't do it anymore, call someone. There's always help out there for you. And we're here to support you.
Thank you.
Natchitoches, I did not spell it correctly.
How did you spell it?
I spelled it N-A-K.
You spelled it the old way. Well, they have Natchitoches coffee.
It's a French word.
Okay, so it's Natchitoches.
Yes.
Remember, we have a sister city.
It's a French.
Natchitoches.
Yeah, in Texas. Natchitoches is our sister city. Where Stephen F. Austin is.
That's what I'm looking at.
We have a sister city. So we always play Northwestern State University and Stephen F. We play for the Indian Chief. So whomever wins that football game get to have the Chief Cato for a whole year.
I told you Jim was stalking you. I told you.
I told you.
Good stalk.
I know him. See, Jim and I, we got synergy. I can look in his eyes and tell you
now, Jim.
what he's saying.
Man, I'm gonna need you to handle.
I already got you on Google Maps.
But see, Lynn's got your back because you're right next to him. So Lynn is going to embrace it because, as far as he's concerned, Jim is a communist.
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say Jim was a communist.
No, you didn't.
I just said he lives in the socialist republic. That's all.
Socialistic Republic. But Nick labeled that. But as we wrap up, I want to thank all of y'all for being on IBM TV. I want to also thank Lynn and his family for donating all of their proceeds from now until the end of September. If you register at the Family Dollar Store, you will get $5. If you do it between now and end of August, you get an extra $5. And if you email go live at IBM TV and not email, send an invite. So after you register, you send an invite. I'll send you an extra $5. So by the time you're done, that's $15.
Let me register.
I have to
Go to familydollarstore.com.
Let me register.
Just go right up to the.
TV.
Just go right.
You're going to be on board Smart TV. You got to register.
Okay.
Just go right to the.
Don't register. I will invite you. So I'll get $5.
I want $10.
And then I will give back to you $10 basically.
So
$10. I'm a register.
Okay,
you get $5. You 5 tokens from me too.
You have to register. You have to register on the family.dollarstore.com. Click the green button on IBM.TV. It'll take you to the website. Just sign up as a customer, and you'll immediately get $5, and then we'll send you another $5. Well, these are gift tokens you have to use when you purchase products. But the good news is,
I already have the app. Can I still do it?
Yeah, it's
I'm
right
sorry?
there. If I think
I already have the app, I can still do it.
It's not an app.
It's not an app.
No, I'm asking. I downloaded the app. If I already have the app, can I still do it?
The app won't work on this one basically. It's a different landing page.
So what you do is go. Can you share my screen for her?
Just register.
I
Don't
just
make it complicated.
Oh, I got you. Yes, I can do that.
Okay, so if you go to IBM.TV, there's a big green button. You see that big green button?
Yes.
And if you click on that green button, it'll take you to that particular familydollarstore.com, and you go register, and then you'll get your $5 and the extra $5 for registering before end of August. And if you email an invite, so down after you register, there's a place where you can invite friends. Invite go live at IBM.TV, and I'll send you an extra thank you. So, and what's great about it is there's some great products on the dollar store. They've got masks, they've got sanitizer, but it all ships to your home. And if you buy $25
you don't have to go to the store.
For free. Right. If you buy $25 worth, it ships for free. So that's what's nice. They've got some wonderful products that I generally like, face masks for not
you
the
get quality products inexpensively.
Collagen products for about $4 that I buy for $25 over the counter.
See, I'm there.
Oops, we lost Kimberly, but
there we go.
Here she comes.
Okay, so we can, there you go. And then they've got my Minion napkins. I'm a kid at heart. And we're all Minion fans. So my napkins are in the other room, but we're all Minion fans. Now we all have our Minion napkins. Yeah, Zach's got his Minion cup.
Oh, I got my patches on my arm.
You have a patch?
Minions.
Got my patches right there.
I usually got my Minions, but I don't have them today.
I got him. Somebody brought him in. Here we go.
Put on my head after they talk about earthquakes. I need it for my head.
So they have CBD products that most companies find it difficult to sell nowadays, but they sell them in very small volumes so that you can like them. It's like $2 to $3 rather than $80 for a bottle.
Okay.
So
and Dr. Anthony, as a teacher, Dr. Anthony, as a teacher, you'll probably love. They do have some things for children and things of that nature, but they also have cookies, because I'm known as the cookie monster of the crew. So they do have cookies. And I know there's a lot of folks here, including yourself, that can remember back to their college days, and we all lived off of ramen noodles, and they do have the noodles and other things that are available.
They do.
You know what?
Did you notice the reaction that Dr. Anthony had?
I did not eat that in college. Oh, the only reason I didn't eat it in college is because I went to the college in my town, my hometown, and so I went home and ate every day. If I didn't eat the cafeteria, that's the only thing.
You were lucky. You were lucky. Not like Mark.
No, I wish I'd had them because our cook was so bad in the fraternity house that I could have used the noodles. I wish
that was the only fraternity with a bad cook.
Oh no, it wasn't the only one.
So that's what makes all of this great is we all have some great experiences to share. And as I always say, education is valuable. Experience is expensive, and other people's experience is priceless.
Priceless, exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Told you they were the both smartest. Told you.
There's no doubt about that. Hey,
I apologize for falling in love so quickly, but I can pay you in tokens.
We have sign language.
You always fall in love. Now you got a choice between two that are part of the IBM TV family. We don't know what we're gonna do with you, Jim. You just got to trouble all together. So things of that nature.
I'm gonna tell on Jim, because when I was doing the show just a minute ago with Alexandria, you was with her too. I'm blowing you up. No, it was like, oh Alexandria, see, so doctor, just know that he's legit, but he got a string. Okay,
so
I'm blowing you up, Jim. I'm sorry. I know it's against the man code. I know, but I had to do it because we're having fun. And Alexandria was very happy too. So Dr. Anthony too. So there you go.
Jim is a sweetheart. He does, but he'll fall out in love with you if you don't play chess.
Oh,
yeah. So, I'm not a chess player. There you go.
That's you played a little bit.
That's it.
I have chess boards. I have one at my mom's and I have one at my house.
There you go.
That's good enough. Good enough.
He'll be there tonight. Don't worry.
There we go. Everybody's got their chess for dummies. I don't get my books until I know I can get them signed. So I'll get my book when I meet Jim. Well, I've got a whole bookshelf full of. That's the only way I get my books. So if I can't get them signed, I don't want them. Right. But we've got some great things going on. Don't forget to watch Alexander May's Musical Cafe this afternoon. Right. We've got some new shows starting this week.
Then also after that, Alexandra May, we have another show called Talking Up Fame, where we are doing brainstorming.
Oh my God!
I love that show.
Whiteboard, brainstorming, and then after the show, anyone can start their own business.
Yeah, it is the best. It is the coolest brainstorming to me. The coolest show since Shark Tank. Yeah, I get into it. Like I find myself texting these guys the whole time. Like I want to be on their show. I really do, but I know I can't do every show. But I dig it. I'm so into it. And then we've got our new business shows that are coming up this week. We are now airing from 8 o'clock in the morning till 7 p.m. at night. Yep. I think we've even got an 8 o'clock at night show. Mark has got one show out. Mark, I can't even keep up with you. Dinner with Mark. He's got all of these great shows, great guests. Zach, when he gets better, we're going to start a space talk show. And so we've got some really big things going. Jim has got a chess show. If you want to learn more about chess, he's got a chess show.
Now, Jim.
Not only do we have the great chess show, but let's not also forget that we can teach folks, and Ankitis knows that I'm a big supporter of this show, and another good buddy of mine is part of that show as well. But if you're into video games and you want to learn about video games and even about the creation of video games, my good buddy Jacoby McDuffie is doing that show that we have immediately after podcast Thursday. So we've got that show on. So if you want to learn about video games and how to the whole business of the video game market, Jacoby is very good character. You had a lively discussion this past week because, some of our folks are very adamant about what they like. And Jeff was on the show, and Jeff definitely wants us to be more green in the video world. So it was a lively but fun conversation. But I personally thought Jacoby handled it well. And it was, like I said, a fun conversation.
Yeah. I have a client, a little client. He's in the 8th grade now, and he's interested in doing video games and stuff like that. So I would like to, share the link with him.
Well, and the thing is that a lot of our shows are financial literacy. Get your kids to listen. listen to them, right? Even if they're just hearing the coffee shop style talks that we're having, it's going to feed in. It's going to bleed into their heart, their minds, and they're going to say, "Wow, I remember they said something about investing." Saving and investing are two different things.
So, supply me with the links when I set up my Google Classroom. I'll post the links inside of my Google Classroom so they have access to it and they can watch the shows.
And we have a teen show starting as well.
Okay.
So we are starting a teen show. We are starting a history show. We are starting travel shows. We are starting a show about Genius and You, which has happened on Thursday. And then we are starting a lot of shows about STEM, where Dr. Anthony is hosting one of the shows starting from September. We are starting a show broadcasting from
Prez,
New Zealand.
right?
Rakesh Krishnan will be doing that show from New Zealand. So we are doing a lot of shows, and also we are doing shows about Mount Everest and mountains.
Wow.
So that's happening sometime this month. So amazing shows coming up on IBM TV around the world, and then also Dr. Anthony and all the guests. We are also starting a show with Adifa, which is about Black heroes around the world. So she'll be talking to people who could be the Black heroes or who are very popular in their own field, but they're not a part of mainstream media, something like that. So we are trying to work it out. But she's based out of Nigeria, so they have a bandwidth issue. So we are just trying to fix it up that as well. So we are trying to get a lot of shows. In fact, we are also starting a show about Sharif School of Economics. That's also So it's also produced by Sharif from Malaysia. So
and Okechukwu.
And Dr. Anthony, if I can add in there and everything, they're always open, as you know now, because we're getting your show, but they're open to other ideas as well. I know I've been in conversations with them about getting some folks in to discuss a sports show and a fashion show. So they are definitely about trying to engage folks. So if you've got ideas, one thing I can say about Kim and Nick, as well as Ankit and the rest of the crew, is that they are very open to hearing the ideas and embracing the idea. So definitely they're all about creating this wonderful family, this wonderful network. We don't have to worry about those other things that you watch on TV and everything. We're about to take the whole market over. That's my opinion. And that's what me and Zach, because we're not that far from each other, that's what we're oftentimes talking about. So we're coming for you, and definitely we're coming for the audience. So definitely keep that in mind. And I think we're growing at a wonderful rate, and just wanted to share that.
So, Ankit, I'm starting to worry about your mental health. How are you doing all these shows? I'm starting to worry about your mental health.
Well, that's where
I was already having a little bit of touch of craziness, but I like having a touch of craziness in my life.
Oh dear, you two are funny. But y'all have got the same mindset going on here. I love it. I love it.
Scary.
Yeah, it is. It happens to Ankit and I all the time.
I wanted to tell you one more interesting story. So how I met Dr. Anthony. I was backstage trying to set up the show, and Zach joined another show. He was with Kim, and then we started talking to Dr. Anthony. And then the time I started, I thought that I have to invite her and invite or maybe offer a show on IBM TV. It just maybe within 15-20 seconds, I've decided that I have to do it. And then I was just trying to talk Zach that how should I do it? How should I talk to Dr. Anthony and things like that? What she will say and all those things. But she was very humble, and she said, okay, let's do it. She just wanted to understand what we are doing on IBM TV. And she's a powerhouse and a powerful voice, and I think we can do amazing.
That was a funny day because I was on the link and I'm sitting there just chilling, watching Kim, and I was like, okay, they're running a little over. Texting Dr. Anthony, where are you? Where are you? And then she's like, I heard her when I was coming on. He's texting me, but he ain't here. So Ankit was trying to do funk from the front seat, which was good. But he texts me and he says, how can I do it if I don't have a steering wheel? Right? So I was like, you was doing all right. But it was funny. I'm texting her, and she's looking at me like, but she was like, aren't you supposed to be somewhere else? And I was like, yeah, I think so. I remember that day because it was me. And Ankit's texting me, and I'm like, but I'm where I'm supposed to be. But then I didn't see you. But then it worked out well. Yes. Yeah, you were like, aren't you supposed to be somewhere else? And I was like, I think I'm in the right spot. But that was funny. That was funny.
Well,
that's what people ask me all the time, Zach. Aren't you supposed to be somewhere else?
Aren't you supposed to be on your show? Well, I started thinking, well, are we supposed to start your show on our link? And because what we're trying to do is separate the links now so that everybody gets their own separate cut without us having to edit. And that's what this has allowed us to. Here we are live talking about what we do. But this is what's great about us, right? Is we educate people. And this is the fun part about this, is that we have the flexibility. Because when I went to Nick one day and said, I just can't work for the networks anymore. They are bleeding us. They're wearing us down. They're never satisfied. And you have to do everything precisely to a cut. And it's draining. And I wanted something more positive and a means to distribute for people who weren't getting an opportunity. Like that, there's a lot of good content here, but they can't get that distribution. So Nick and I, we were working with IBM at the time, and then we came up with this idea, and it's growing, and it's coming together. And but I just, he said, why don't we try this? And so we were literally the first to come out with the Zoom type platform for TV, and nobody was doing it until after COVID. But we've been doing it for about a year, just trying to work out the kinks, make sure it flows, and stuff like that. So it's been exciting. But all of this is about allowing what I call really good content that doesn't get to make it to mainstream, allowing that an opportunity to grow beyond the borders. Okay, because IBM TV isn't just the U.S. We are everywhere. I received a phone call from someone who, does business in over 100 countries, and he told me, "You're everywhere now." He's supporting us, and he's the head of the International Chamber of Commerce, and so we're able to not just bring in that content here to educate. We're able to educate out. So your voice is very strong, and we're thankful that you're with us. Yeah,
yeah, we are.
Yeah.
But Ankit says he's in India, but I know Ankit.
Mark and I are in the same backyard, and Zach is in the same backyard. We never met, so
awesome.
But here's what's so cool. Last week I was on a show where we had somebody from India, somebody from Hong Kong. There was actually Okechukwu, who is from Lagos, Nigeria. Okay, and there's Willie Hill was from Australia. We had Jim from the Socialist Republic of Northern California. We had Ben Coates from England. I've had somebody I've been on a show with somebody from Budapest. And of course, lots of people from India. Yesterday, Dr. Sagu, and the day before, Dr. Tula. Which are really great people. IBM TV has wonderful, wonderful shows with wonderful people. Even Jim, I have to admit that Jim is a great guy. That's hard for me to say, and I want you to know that, but it is.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, and Alexandra is wonderful.
Oh my goodness.
And so, I mean, just people from all over the world. It's not just.
Sasha. Don't forget Sasha. He's been with
Sasha from Toronto. Well, he and I are
Russia
going to,
and Toronto.
Well, Toronto. He and I are going to meet at the Niagara Falls crossing to go into Toronto, and we're going to set up a chessboard right in the middle of the customs, so that he can
also
play
known as the Peace Bridge.
Yep. He can play on his side, and I can play on my side. So I have to spend time reading Chess for Dummies.
Sasha is a chess master, Dr. Anthony. So I'm in jest. Mark suggested I play him, and I was like, I'll never speak to you again, Mark, because I don't play chess. I don't even know why you said I play chess. I just play at it. But then he wants me to go up against a chess master from a world chess. So this is my friend. He's telling me, oh yeah, you can go play with him. I'm not touching the chessboard with that man, or even Jim, or even Lynn. I am nowhere near their caliber. You know, I can't even be.
You might be able to handle Lynn. You might be able to handle Lynn. He's not played in a while, so you might be able to handle Lynn with no problem at all.
I can't even beat my daughters. No.
But we have some amazing guests as well, because I know that Kim had the gentleman that was on the IQ Master. I forgot his name, but he was like an IQ Master, and he was a tremendous guest that we had on. I think that was what, Ankit, 2 days ago that Nick brought on, the gentleman with the tremendous IQ that's out of Toronto. So like I said, we get all kinds of great guests, and I mean, he just was having all kinds of knowledge. And I think Jim tried to go toe to toe with him. This is gonna let you know how his mental state is, because at least you notice that Zach said that he knew better than to play chess with these chess masters. But Jim tried to go toe to toe with like basically a member of Mensa, because the guy's like that kind of IQ smart, and Jim doesn't have any fear, and he's slightly crazy, so he just went toe to toe with him, and I think you did all right. What do you think, Jim? Did you go? You went toe to toe, and I think you handled yourself.
What was his IQ test? Did he reveal his score?
I think somewhere in the course, I came on later, but I know it was definitely very high up there. So I think Ankit may remember the exact number, but I want to say it was definitely in